Alright guys, Revolver Rostler here, and this is going to be my WWE Money in the Bank 2015 review for a pay-per-view that was downright booked badly. Alright, the pay-per-view had well, not downright booked badly, I'm exaggerating a bit. There were 2 or 3 cases where booking was good, and the rest was pretty bad. But that's, firstly, I do need to address, I do need to send my condolences to the Runnels family after Dusty Rhodes passed on Thursday at the age of 69. He is, without a doubt, one of the most charismatic superstars in wrestling history, and, you know, he's a former 3-time NWA champion. He's just, while his booking ideas were strange, he knew what he was talking about, and he had a mind for the business. And a lot of the NXT guys that you were going to see, well, a lot of the people you're going to see on this pay-per-view worked with Dusty Rhodes. You know, Seth Rollins, Paige, Dean Ambrose, Neville, those guys, they worked with him in NXT, and I'm sure those guys, it was very emotional, and you could actually tell during the 10 ringing of the bell, you could see how emotional they all were, especially Big Show. Big Show, you know, tears. Renee Young had tears on the pre-show, and that was very emotional. I was quite actually impacted by that, and it's a shame to see such a legend go. But let's get onto the pay-per-view, because we needed to make Dusty proud, and we needed to give him a show that Dusty would be proud to be part of, and I'm sorry, but I don't think the show was that show. I think 2 matches were, I think 4 individuals were, and the rest were not very good. So we start off with the pre-show match, which is King Barrett versus R-Truth, and this was basically TV quality. I predicted Barrett, and Barrett lost, as usual. And I'm really annoyed with Barrett losing, because he won King of the Ring in a really fine match with Neville, and he proved that he belongs. And then he, lost at Payback by count-out, and then he lost at Elimination Chamber by being the first one eliminated. And he just hasn't done anything since. And it's just very annoying to see that someone like Barrett, who's so talented, maybe it shows that WWE are racist against English people, because William Regal never ever main evented, really, did he? And it's just a bit of a shame to see that someone like Barrett, who has so much talent, he's got great mic skills, is a good wrestler, can't get anywhere. And I remember when he was main eventing pay-per-views as the leader of the Nexus, so obviously, oh, well, of course, he was with Cena in those matches, wasn't he? Of course. But that puts me 1 down in my predictions already. I gave the match 2 stars. It was about TV quality. It was nothing less, nothing higher. You could watch it on Raw. In fact, I'm sure if we watch Raw tonight, we'll probably see the rematch. Money in the Bank. The show starts, and we actually start with the Money in the Bank ladder match. And this match was painfully just above average. Like, basically, nobody got enough time to show any of their real skills. Neville didn't do that much Neville didn't do much high-octane offense. He hit 1 red arrow, and that was it. He did no dives or anything that we expected, because it's a ladder match. I mean, Neville said himself that this match was designed for him. If it was designed for you, then why aren't you doing anything? I'm using that because it's cool. Ziggler did barely anything. He hit a zigzag on Sheamus off the ladder, and that was really it. He hit a super kick on Kane, and that was it, basically. Kane did nothing, but that's kind of what we wanted. Kofi even didn't do anything. Kofi got powerbombed onto some ladders, and then Neville got powerbombed onto Kofi on the ladders by Roman Reigns, and that was it. This match was more about, the spots were more about impact spots than high maneuver spots, and I love high maneuver spots and impact spots. I like a good contrast, not just high impact spots, and this match was just too full of them. And let's get to the bit that we loved, the ending, where Sheamus wins the Money in the Bank. Where did this come from? Sheamus winning the match. I mean, Sheamus, so he lost at Extreme Rules, he lost the stipulation because he had to kiss Dolph Ziggler's bum on, had to kiss his butt at Payback, and then at Elimination Chamber he comes second, so that is the guy who's won Money in the Bank. Well, actually, they do have a history of burying the Money in the Bank winner, so I'm hoping after this Sheamus actually gets buried, because I don't like Sheamus, he's rubbish. He just isn't entertaining, and he looks like a pillock. Pillock is actually a word Sheamus would know. But seriously, the match, the Wyatt interference was very smart. I did like that because it sets up an interesting Wyatt-Reigns feud, which actually people like me have actually been genuinely interested in since the Wyatt family versus the Shield feud. But after that point, you did realise that one of the other 6 guys had to win it, and the only 2 I wanted to win it was Neville or Ziggler, and what were the chances of those 2 winning it? So it basically came down to Sheamus is probably going to win. And he does, and it's just painfully annoying that Sheamus wins. He hasn't done anything. And Sheamus just... Everybody predicted Reigns. Reigns was the safe bet. And it feels a lot like the Undertaker Brock Lesnar match at WrestleMania 30. Taker was the safe bet. And it's the exact same scenario because I wasn't on the edge of my seat because I predicted it and was 99.9% sure that Reigns was going to win and the other guys were going to lose, basically. And Sheamus was the guy I'd actually put at the back of the queue to win. He was behind Kofi and Kane, I think. He was ahead of Randy Orton. Kudos to you, you're ahead of Randy Orton. But seriously, like, Sheamus winning was so annoying, and it starts the bad booking. Well, actually, the pre-show match starts the bad booking. But this match really solidified that we're going to have some bad booking on this pay-per-view. And we did. And you'll find out when we get to the next 2 matches. Because they were booked really badly. But overall, though, how was the match? As I've already said, nobody got enough time to put in any real effort and do anything. Neville did nothing, really. Ziggler did nothing except for a zigzag, which looked slightly cool. And I've actually always wanted to see. So I do actually give it extra points for that. Orton hit RKOs on everybody, and he actually hit one on Neville off the ladder. Cool, but I've seen it before, so it's not as like... Kane did nothing. Sheamus did hit a bro kick, and that was it. He went for white noise off the ladder, but could never hit it. Who else was in the match? Kofi did nothing. Kofi was like the beanbag for the entire match. Reigns, yeah, he hit a spear and some Superman punches, and that was it. Kane, Ziggler, Orton. So basically, the match was Reigns and Sheamus. Like, Sheamus and Reigns, nobody got enough time, but in the end, it was like, Sheamus and Reigns are the big 2 guys, because Reigns should be winning it, but actually Sheamus does. And it was just booked poorly, and that is why my final grade on it, while the match wasn't bad, I only gave it 3 stars. It is probably the weakest Money in the Bank ladder match I've ever seen, and it's not one of the better matches on this card. There are 2 great matches on this card, but there is a match that's better than this that isn't, like, outstanding. Which is really weird, because the Money in the Bank ladder match is normally one of the best matches on the card. And this one was very underwhelming and disappointing, and that's why I only gave it 3 stars. 3 stars is still good, remember, but it's not a watch. It's not one of the best Money in the Banks you're ever going to watch. If you want to watch one of those, 21 or 24 WrestleMania, check those both out. Don't check this one out. In fact, the one at last year's pay-per-view was pretty good, actually. Next up, we have the Divas match, and before it, I'm already angry, because before it, they had this great pay-per-view, they had this great promo, where Paige is like, right, I'm going to do this for Dusty, and I'm going to win, and at that point, my friend had actually changed his prediction from Nikki's going to win to Paige is going to win, because it was like, I'm doing it for Dusty, and I was like, yeah, Paige is going to win the belt, and Paige loses! What? Paige loses because Brie takes Nikki's spot again. I'm sorry, there is such differences between them. I know that, like, oh, well, we pad the chest so that, like, my breasts look like Nikki's. But come on. No, they don't. No, they don't. They really don't. And there's the bit in it, right, basically what happens is Paige actually ends up pinning Brie, and then Brie's like, I'm not Nikki, so it doesn't count. But to be honest, shouldn't that then be a disqualification? Pinning the wrong person, Brie getting involved in the match. Which I know means that Nikki retains the belt, but still, like, come on, that'd be a legitimate reason to have a rematch. They do have a legitimate reason to have a rematch anyway, but that'd be even more of a reason to have a rematch. And then Nikki just comes in and hits her with the elbow, and hits the rack attack, and nobody even knew that the match was still going on. The referee didn't have control at all. Like, honestly, the booking was god-awful in this match. And the weird thing is the match was actually really good. The 2 divas put on a fine match, and it was definitely exemplified by the way they both moved. They moved so well, and I think Nikki, this is one of her best singles matches. If it wasn't for the booking, I could give this a higher grade, but with the booking, I have to give it 3 stars. Although, I do think it was actually better than the Money in the Bank, and there will not be many times I will say that on a Money in the Bank pay-per-view, so check this match out, because you'll be pleasantly surprised. They got enough time, they got their moves in, Paige hit Rampage, and I thought she was going to win at that point. I was actually on the edge of my seat, so I was very surprised. I was on the edge of my seat way more than I was in that ladder match. And I actually should have been in that ladder match. And then we have the IC title match, which was awful. It was god-awful. Ryback and Big Show, 5 minutes long, and it did the wrong thing. The booking was bad, the wrestling was bad, everything was bad. Firstly, Miz didn't need to be out there. Miz was out there basically to say, the winner of this is going to be my opponent at Battleground. And basically my thought was, so wait, what have you done to deserve that? And the answer was, nothing. And at that point, you're annoyed as balls because you realise that Big Show got a shot out of nothing, and then Miz is getting a shot out of nothing. Annoying, and you're going to be even more annoyed when I tell you what actually happened. So Ryback and Big Show, they fight, they give the big moves, they do what they do, which isn't good, but in the end, Big Show knocks out Ryback, puts him back in the ring, and The Miz runs in with the microphone, hits Big Show with it, and gets the match to end in a DQ. Oh my god, are you being serious? You've booked it as a pretty big match that needs to be won decisively. So what do? You have the match end in a DQ. And that doesn't even make sense from a standpoint of Miz, because Miz is going to face the winner, but with no decisive winner, that means he's going to go into a triple threat match at Battleground, which is going to be awful. Miz, Ryback and Big Show is a terrible sounding match. It sounds awful. I'm not looking forward to Battleground based off of that. I am off the match they actually look at later, which, by the way, the Bray Wyatt thing, where he interferes and takes out Reigns in the ladder match, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, I forgot. But that is scheduled for Battleground, Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns, and it's actually 5 weeks. Like, Battleground's normally like 3 weeks, so that's weird. But seriously, this IC title match was terrible, and I gave it 1 star, and it's all it deserves, because it was terrible. And it just shows how bad the booking of these first 4 matches was, because it got progressively worse, the booking. In the King Barrett match, it was like, alright, I can understand why Truth won, but Barrett should have really won. In the ladder match, the booking was bad, with Sheamus winning. In the Divas match, the booking was worse, and in this match, it was painfully worse. It was god-awful. And this match, like, if the booking was bad, if the booking was good in this match, I could have given it 1.5 stars. It's not much better, but it's better. So after those travesties, well, after that travesty, because the other matches were at least good, we have Owens versus Cena, and you probably think I'm going to say this match was bad, but actually it was great. It was incredible. Owens and Cena put on another classic, I think. And they really exaggerated it a little bit. It was like one of the best matches ever. But it was pretty awesome. Owens and Cena told a great story again, like they did at Elimination Chamber. I do think that one's a little bit better, but they have the same rating. I gave it 4.25 stars. I do think they're both very good, obviously. They're both great, to be honest. The one Elimination Chamber I think was a little bit better, probably because Owens got the win. Cena wins after 3 AAs. But Owens and Cena hit each other with bombs, and I loved how Cena was pulling moves out of his arsenal. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to use moves that I never used before, and then they just use the same stuff, and normally it's actually John Cena who's saying that. But this time, Cena used some new stuff. He used a reverse DDT thing, he used a sunset flip powerbomb, and that was amazing. Like, seeing John Cena pull off different moves is really weird. Owens was as good as Kevin Owens can be. He hit his Brainbuster off the top. He hit everything that you wanted him to hit. He hit a pop-up powerbomb, which Cena kicked out of. And in the end, the third AA on Kevin Owens after a stunner. I don't like the springboard stunner. I think it's really weak. After that AA, Owens loses, which is fine, because he looked great. But then the booking was genius, because this is so contrast. The booking we've had, and then contrast with this booking, it's so weird. The booking here, with Kevin Owens attacking Cena and then powerbombing him on the apron, that's pure genius. Because that makes Owens look so strong when he goes against Finn Balor on July 4th in Tokyo for the NXT title. Check that out, because I'm checking that out, because they had a great match in NXT a few months ago. But seriously, Owens and Cena just hold a great match, and I loved it, and I gave it 4.25 stars. You should check it out. It's not as good as Elimination Chamber, but that's not saying much. That's not criticism, really. We don't need that page. So next up, we have more basic garbage, like the WWE Tag Team Championships. The New Day take on the Primetime Players. I predicted the Primetime Players, and the Primetime Players actually won. Like, I didn't think that would happen. Like, where did that come from? Like, as much as, like, I prefer the Primetime Players to the New Day, I didn't really want them to win. I was kind of joking, if I'm honest. The Primetime Players aren't very good. Like, they aren't very good, and the match exemplified how good they actually were. Basically, the ending is so abrupt, and the match was just so boring. It was like watching, I was yawning and snoozing, and I was watching E3 at the same time, and that was more entertaining. I think Doom was on, so of course it was more entertaining. But this match was just boring. Like, seriously, what happened? Titus hits the Wrath of the Titus, and Primetime Players win. I gave it 1 3/4 stars. Bravo, this is our tag team division. And by the way, guys, we do have a really good team in our division called Harper and Rowan. Why aren't they in the tag picture? I hope they beat the Primetime Players on Raw tonight, because they're the best team in the division, except Taisaro. And I want to see that tag match. 2 out of 3 falls, Taisaro, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, and Harper and Rowan, who I've now nicknamed Rapper. So it's Rapper against Taisaro. That could be freaking awesome, guys. Like, I love 2 out of 3 falls matches, and those teams could put on a great match. But seriously, the Primetime Players in New Day did nothing entertaining. I gave it 1 3/4 stars. It's not awful, but it's not good. So after what has been... I was going to say the pay-per-view was average, I think, at this point, because Cena and Owens were so good. We get the main event, and this match was on the wrong pay-per-view. This match should have been on WrestleMania 31. Like, this was WrestleMania caliber of a main event match. Ambrose and Rollins, this is the best match they have ever had. This match was pure brilliance from start to finish. The segment with Triple H, Rollins and Stephanie before it was perfect, because it got Rollins hyped up, and I absolutely loved it. Rollins walked to the ring with such prowess, with such want, with such need to win the belt, and that was to retain the belt, and that was perfect. And Ambrose had the same want and need, and these two men put on what was one of the best matches of the year. I honestly think this was probably better than both Owens-Cena matches, and that is saying a lot, because those matches are incredible. Ambrose and Rollins just beat the hell out of each other. The ladders didn't get used for about 5 minutes. Give up, alright, yeah. But the match was given some length, and the length added such a story of just guys who had fought to get to the top. And that was exemplified by the ending, to be honest. But basically, let me run through what happened. There was some great spots. Ambrose gave Rollins a dirty deed on the announce table. That looked sick. Rollins with that powerbomb, that sit-out powerbomb onto the ladder and the chairs, that was incredible. And can we just say, it isn't Super Cena or Super Roman anymore, it is Super Dean, because Dean Ambrose was Superman in this match. He was insane. He got up after everything. He took powerbombs into the corners, into the barricades, into the turnbuckles. He took a pedigree, a super kick. He took everything, and he got back up. Dean Ambrose looked phenomenal in this match. He really did. And I loved every part of it. The booking in this match was off the chain. It was perfect. It was booked how I would have booked it. And in the end, you get an ending that I think actually satisfies fans. While it is a controversial ending. It really isn't, to be honest, because they put it down to like semantics of, well, in football, I'm like, it's not football, it's pro wrestling. Basically, in the end, Ambrose and Rollins have both got their arms on the belt and they both fall and pull the belt, but in the end, on the impact, Rollins grabs the belt and holds it and Ambrose lets go, so they give the belt to Rollins. Rollins is still the WWE World title, and you know what the best part is? He did it on his own. There was no outside interference. For over 35 minutes, Rollins took on Ambrose on his own. They went in the crowd. They did everything possible. And these two men were absolutely insane. And I gave the match 4.5 stars. It was absolutely brilliant. It is one of the best matches I've seen this year. It is probably the best match in either man's career. And I definitely believe that. Like you should believe in the Shield. Where are they going to go from here? It would make sense to have one more one-on-one match, Ambrose and Rollins, at Battleground before Rollins goes against Lesnar at SummerSlam. That's probably what I see happening. Even though Ambrose, like, losing this match, he looked so distraught, and I felt the emotion he did. But everything in the match was perfect, and that's why I gave it 4.5 stars. It was insane. You've got to check it out. So my final score for Money in the Bank, based off everything, so that is the booking and the match quality, was actually a really tough one to call. Because there were two matches which are must-watches, and the Rollins and Ambrose one is insane. But the IC title match was awful. The booking for the Divas match was awful. The booking for the Money in the Bank was bad. The booking for the pre-show was bad. And the Primetime Players match wasn't very good. So what are we left with? We are left with two great matches. A good Divas match. A good Money in the Bank. A TV quality pre-show match. A meh tag match. And an awful IC title match. In the end, because of that bad IC title match, I can't give this pay-per-view higher than a 6 out of 10. And as much as I want to, because the main event, and because Cena and Owens, and because the Divas match, not the piece of booking, were so good, I have to stay with a 6 out of 10. But honestly, check out the pay-per-view. No, let me rephrase that. Skip the first hour of the pay-per-view, because the Money in the Bank doesn't need to be watched. Watch from Cena to the main event, because that little Primetime Players match is like 6 minutes, and it doesn't really matter, and you'll probably get the Dusty Rhodes promo in there anyway, and that's nice to see. So, watch the last, like, hour and a half, I think, something like that. But that is it. That is my Money in the Bank 2015 review. I'm sorry I shouted a lot, but it was because the booking was bad. But seriously, Ambrose and Rollins told an incredible story, and I'm just waiting to see where they're going to go with it. So, like, comment, and subscribe for more, guys. I'm probably going to be watching more E3 tonight. I'll watch Raw tomorrow morning. But this has been Raw Rosslot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more, guys. And Rollins is still the champ. Seth Rollins.